Temyrivka in Zaporizhia and Novoukrainka in Donetsk, according to Russia's defense ministry. Meanwhile, the Kremlin says repairs to U.S.-Russia relations have slowed and urges faster progress. Officials confirm no current contacts with Washington on renewing a nuclear arms treaty. They also declined to comment on President Donald Trump's remarks that he's no longer interested in talks with Putin. Moscow has taken note of Trump's shorter ceasefire deadline for Ukraine. Still, the Kremlin insists its military operation continues, but says it remains open to peace talks that respect Russia's interests. Now we're joined by Matti Zweig. He's a geopolitical expert, joins us live from Israel. Thank you, Matti, for joining us today. Welcome to News 6 World. Now, given the current geopolitical tensions, what do you think are the potential risks of further deteriorating U.S.-Russia relationships?
Well, first, thank you for having me. This war has been on course for 3.5 years. I think many efforts has been done in the last 6 months to change the course of the things from the Trump side. And from the Russian side, of course, they don't want to lose all what they have gained in these last 3.5 years in terms of territory, of course, and I'm not talking about the suffering from both sides, the huge loss of quantities of soldiers and civilians, especially from the Ukrainian side civilians, but also the quantity of losses of the soldiers in both sides is, as Trump said, hundreds of thousands, and this must be stopped. That's what he said. The question is, there are so many parameters that they are not being taken, like the developings that they are going to be after that the ceasefire is going to be on the place, because nobody's really telling anyone what is the next step. If it's going to recognize some of the territories that have been captured by Russia, or from the Ukrainian side, if they're going to recognize something that has been going on since 2014, like the Crimea annexation. And then everyone is afraid that if they are going to stop, everything is going to be resumed some months after that, because the main points have not been solved. And this also something that they have been talking for a long time also is, what are the interests of Trump in doing what he's doing, is also trying to reach places in Ukraine that they have rare earths and a lot of minerals and things that they have signed with Zelensky finally after all the misunderstandings from the beginning. And also there are a lot of these rare earths from the lands conquered by the Russian side. And there is also a kind of narrative that both sides are not changing, which is the Russophile or not Russophile areas that can be staying from the Russian side, from the Ukrainian side, and what is historically what belongs to every one of them. Until they don't go to the core of the things, I think there are too much interest for to continue the war, unfortunately, and from the Russian side to gain more and more territories, and from the Ukrainian side not to recognize some Russian so-called rights that they have on what it was the borders of Ukraine after 1991. So that's the situation today.
Yes, and Matti, now looking at President Donald Trump's shorter ceasefire deadline for Russia and Ukraine to reach a ceasefire, how do you interpret this, the fact that it's the ceasefire deadline is shorter, but the attacks are continuing, and meanwhile Russia has noted that yes, the ceasefire notice has been shortened?
Where in the last 8 months, 9 months, the Russians have been advanced village by village in a lot of places. The Ukrainians have been have lost most of the territories that they conquered as a leverage or a political or a leverage from the Kursk area. So the Russian feels that if they are going to gain more and more territory, they are going to be in a better place in the moment they have to stop. And this is what is going on now. It's not that Trump is really complicated with many things in the Middle East. And the Russian side thinks that they can go further and further with the situation, and they have not real incentive to stop in this moment. And so the lines of ceasefire are going to be the lines of ceasefires from the moment is going to be a real ceasefire and not only from talking. I mean, they are not going to go back unless they are going to reach a very, very broad agreement that is going to please all sides. So from now, fight continues, and as I said, the Russians conquering village by village in different areas of Zaporozhye, of Donetsk, and maybe going to the side of Sumy, getting close to this city, and maybe this is going to be a new line that is going to be delimited in the moment is going to reach a ceasefire for real.
Thank you, Maddie, for sharing that insight. Please stay with us as we come back to you for our next discussion. Now, moving